we realized that this is a 4.2 billion industry a year in the US alone. So it's huge. You don't need to have an office, you can run it from home. You don't really need an equipment other than a computer, a phone, a printer, so basic stuff to run the business. And I paid out of my own pocket for the mistakes that I made. Now, because of that, we'll make sure our franchisees are not doing that. So it's not costing them any extra. If you want to actually grow and have a business that eventually you can give to your kids, or you can sell, or you can grow, or do whatever you want to do with it, then definitely, look into franchise opportunities.
Welcome to the Zero to Profitable Franchise Podcast, the best place for you to come to figure out the right franchise to buy and how to get and stay profitable. My name is Tarek Johnson, and I've bought, grown, and sold multiple franchises and got myself free from corporate America, and now I'm on a mission to help you do that too. Here you'll find some of the most in-depth, profitable franchise secrets, tangible strategies, and specific mindsets to help you create your dream life through franchising. So what's one of the most common questions that I get asked? Hey Tarek, what's a good low-cost franchise to buy? Well, in this episode, we are going to talk about exactly that. We're going to dive into not only a franchise that you can get up and running for less than $50,000 all in, but it's also what I consider to be a recession-resistant business. Now, not only that, but the revenue is a recurring revenue model, meaning once you sign up a customer, they keep paying you month after month, which creates stability and consistency, something that every entrepreneur desires. Now, this is an episode to really soak in as I sit down with Max Emma, the CEO and founder of Bookskeeping, and we discuss why his emerging franchise brand is poised for explosive growth. Now, drop us a comment and let us know what your biggest takeaway as you watch is, or any questions that you have. Now, if you want to buy a franchise in the next 12 months, then I'm going to give you for free my Profitable Franchise Formula Masterclass. Now, this is some of my secret sauce that I only share with my clients, and for a limited time only, it will be free. So go hurry up and grab your copy right away at buyaprofitablefranchise.com. Now, we've also helped many clients buy franchises, get them profitable, or buy resale businesses that are thriving. I'm talking about highly profitable resales that are great value and have allowed many of our clients to actually quit their job right away and replace their income immediately. So if you want to work with me and my team on finding or buying a franchise or resale business, then you can go to tarekjohnson.com/consulting, and we're happy to see if we can help. With that said, let's jump into episode number 22 of the Zero to Profitable Franchise Podcast. Hey, before we jump into the episode, if you've gotten value from any of the content I put out, it's not easy and it really takes a lot of time to create this content. So if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button and drop a comment, anything, even a smiley face. It helps the YouTube algorithm show the episode to more and more people. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, please rate and drop a quick review. Both of these things are free and take no longer than 30 seconds. Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoy this episode. All right, welcome everyone. I'm here with Max Emma with Bookkeeping, founder and CEO. Max, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, I'm particularly excited about this conversation because right now, what is a very hot, sexy topic that everyone wants to talk about is recession-proof franchises, right? Or recession-resistant franchises. And, when I first learned about Bookskeeping and what you guys do, I really think that's at the top of the list. So, for everyone that just started listening, I would definitely recommend that you stay tuned for the entire one because, I personally think this brand is a particularly interesting opportunity, especially given the environment we're in. But Max, tell us about Bookskeeping. What do you guys do, and how did you get started? What's the story behind it?
Sounds great, Eric. First of all, when you say the word sexy and bookkeeping, it's already fun because most of my counterparts accountants would never put two words together. But funny enough, our hashtag is cool bean counters because we are trying to bring coolness into, let's be honest, a boring world of accounting. So I started with this business As the typical American dream out of the garage, having another business and doing that part-time with my co-founder and my wife, we just realized that it was very hard to find a decent bookkeeper in the local area. At that time, we were in San Diego, California, and while looking for a bookkeeper for our business, we got about 20 quotes from 20 local bookkeepers that I found on Google. Keep in mind, that was about 13 years ago. And the quotes varied from $200 to $2,000 for exactly the same scope of work. And that's when I got an idea together with my wife that, hey, we have to do something about it. Because, yes, I understand when there is a 10 to 20% difference, 30%, but 200 to 2,000, literally. I think I have it somewhere in my garage, these quotes, and we're like, we need to do something. And that's how the idea of bookkeeping began. Only when we started working on the concept and picking up the name and thinking which way we're going to go, we realized that this is a 4.2 billion, at the time it was about 3.5 billion industry a year in the US alone. So it's huge. Everybody needs bookkeeping. And when we went into COVID, naturally, I had concerns what's going to happen. I mean, what's going to happen to the business, what's going to happen with the industry. And interestingly enough, after 3 or 4 months of nothing, people started pouring in because there were new businesses opening up, people were letting other people go, talent shortage. So we started seeing more requests for not only after-the-fact bookkeeping, but also bill pay, accounts receivable, everything for small and medium-sized businesses locally and nationwide.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's I don't want to say it's funny that you say that, but the story that you experience is I experienced some similar stuff, and I have a particular strong opinion about bookkeeping, which
what is it?
I 100% believe that no business owner should ever be doing their own bookkeeping. It is a complete waste of time for them to do it. They 100% should be paying a company to do it. And given that you're in the business, that you probably wouldn't be shocked to hear how many business owners I ask, like, hey, when was the last time you looked at your P&Ls or do you have P&Ls, profit and loss statements being created? And they're like, no. Like a lot of franchise owners, they have no idea what their numbers are. Like, how can you effectively run your business if you're not if you're not creating a profit and loss statement every month to look, this is how much we have coming in. Here's what people say. Have you ever heard this before? I just look at my bank account. I just see what's left in my bank account. Did you have that conversation?
Yes. As soon as I hear that, I'm going, this is my guy, or this is my lady. So this is the client that I'm looking for. Because as soon as they say that, I'm like, okay, you need bookkeeping, or you need a local bookkeeper to do your accounting for sure, 100%. And you said that business owners doing it themselves. We had a client at a time. So again, franchising is relatively new. We just started franchising last year, but we've had the business for about 12 years. So bookkeeping been around for a while, and not only working on the local market, we are a preferred bookkeeping provider to about 65 nationwide franchise brands, such as FastSign, Signorama, and many more, a lot of small ones, emerging ones. So we've been in the bookkeeping world for a while. So we had a client about 5-6 years ago here in San Diego, an attorney. The guy used to be a CPA before he got his law license. So he had a partner and 4 or 5 people staff. He was coming every Sunday to the office to do his own accounting. Instead of spending time with his family, he hated it. His wife hated it, according to him. But he was coming because, hey, he's a CPA, so he knows how to do it. And then somebody introduced us. He found us. We had a conversation. We gave him a quote for monthly bookkeeping. The quote was less than his 1-hour billing rate that the guy was charging. 1-hour billing rate. He's like, why was I doing it for 7 years? 7 years, Tarek, of the time that he cannot bring back. So I agree with you 100%. Yes, QuickBooks designed for non-accountants, so anybody can learn it. But there is a difference of data entry and accounting. I mean, people go to university to study for accounting degree. There is a reason for that. Everybody who works for bookkeeping corporate has accounting degree, or at least accounting degree in progress. But the fact that you understand QuickBooks and you are a pro advisor doesn't mean that you understand bookkeeping.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I'm in a few minutes, because I want to talk a little bit more about the overall opportunity of bookkeeping and how the franchising system works. But I'll tell you. Remind me to tell you a story in a little bit about what that guy was doing, spending hours doing bookkeeping, and my own story with that. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the podcast episode so far. One of the most consistent things that we hear from people that reach out to us is that buying a franchise feels really confusing. There's so many options out there. It's a scary decision. They don't know how to vet or do the due diligence or really narrow down on the right franchise for them. And then they really feel alone in the process. Like you might be the only one in your family who's ever pursued buying a franchise or being an entrepreneur. Or maybe you've tried to start a side hustle before, or other businesses like me. Like before franchising, I was not able to crack the code on entrepreneurship. I'd like to invite you to reach out and work with us. We've helped many clients buy franchises, get them profitable, or buy resale businesses that are thriving. I'm talking about highly profitable resales, great value. We've allowed many of our clients to actually quit their job right away and replace their income immediately. So if you want to work with me and my team on finding or buying a franchise, doing due diligence, vetting it, or resale, then go ahead and go to tarjohnson.com/consulting, and we're happy to see if we can help. All right, enjoy the rest of the episode. So in full transparency, I had a client who was a friend of mine that I used to work with who signed a franchise agreement with Bookkeeping, and that's when I started to learn more and more about the brand and the system. I thought, wow, this is a really fascinating, opportunity and system. And for her, she had kind of tried to do it on her own, right? Like before, she was going to try to start kind of her own bookkeeping company and was kind of struggling to figure out all the steps and the systems and stuff like that. So tell us a little bit about what that looks from the franchisor side. Like, how much does it cost for someone to get up and running in a bookkeeping franchise? What are the benefits of doing a bookkeeping franchise versus someone deciding to go, start their own or do a mosquito spraying business or something like that? And tell us a little bit about that and the kind of the characteristics of the brand.
Well, first of all, it's low cost franchise compared to other ones. The starting price is about $19,000, and you don't need to have an office. You can run it from home. You don't really need an equipment other than a computer, a phone, a printer, so basic stuff to run the business. So with the laptop and Zoom application and 3 or 4 more apps that you need, which, by the way, Bookkeeping is managing all the technology suite, so our franchisees don't have to worry about it. We get everything they need for them, and we manage the subscription. They just pay one small fee per month, which we don't keep any of that. Everything goes to the vendors, but they don't have to worry about IT, Microsoft Office, QuickBooks, and any of the stuff, because everything is covered. The billing software, we also have a internal software that we wrote called BooksDesk, and this is a proprietary one that helps bookkeepers and accountants to manage their clientele and their documents. So you can look at the software and you know exactly where each client is at the given point of time, if it's in a review stage, processing stage, or waiting for the documents from a client. So we wrote that 8 years ago or so, and we continue updating it all the time, so our franchisees get a license to use it. It's not available anywhere else, so it's just available for bookkeeping employees and bookkeeping franchisees. But back to your question, what franchisees get, they get, I want to say, our wisdom and a list of what not to do. If I can compare it, I would say in training, 20% or 30% would be what to do. The rest would be what not to do, because we've done it all. And I paid out of my own pocket for the mistakes that I made. Now, because of that, we'll make sure our franchisees are not doing that. So it's not costing them any extra. And in my own opinion, I think that's what you get by buying any franchise. You get somebody's expertise. Our brand manual, which is everything you need to know about running bookkeeping business, is over 900 pages. And that's including all the agreements, all the techniques, everything. So that's what franchisees are getting. They also get 2 weeks full-time training. That includes not only technology training and processes, it includes sales, networking. It includes everything that they need to know. Of course, anybody can open their own business, but that goes for mosquito business as well. I mean, you can go buy a sprayer and try to get clients and go spray against mosquitoes. But somehow it's one of the fastest growing industry right now because, you know, when somebody tells you what to buy, what proportions, how to make sure it's safe for people and the kids and the dogs around, the household. So that's what people are paying for. It's everything. And you brought up a point of why not start bookkeeping business themselves. So one of our franchisees been with us for about almost a year now, and she actually had a bookkeeping business before. So she has an accounting degree. She knows everything that needs to be known about accounting. And she was doing about $3,000 a month. So it was a part-time business working from home. She didn't need that to make the living. It was more like a side business. And then she decided to buy a bookkeeping franchise. So 11 months later, she went from $3,000 a month, still working from home, no employees, to $17,000 a month. So she's clearing $17,000 a month. We didn't teach her anything about the accounting, but we taught her how to sell, how to write the contract, what's the best way of managing, which clients, she needs to get. And then somehow a system works. Now she's hiring 2 employees. She's actually making a business out of it because, yes, she's clearing $200,000 a year, but now she understands she can do way better than that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting story. It's funny. So Joanna had texted me and she goes, Tarek, they signed me up for sales training. She was so excited that you guys gave her access to a sales training. And, I thought, wow, that's really awesome that you guys did that. And, it's funny because, again, Joanna and I used to be colleagues and, we're friends and stuff like that. And she's like, I'm not a salesperson. I can't sell. And I'm like, look, this is a very simple service. It's not even about selling. It's, hey, you're a business owner, right? And here's what I hear, and having been on the other side, is that most people are either unhappy with their current bookkeeper, right? And they are very open to switching to another one, right? So it presents a lot of opportunity for someone coming into a business like this, right? Because it's like, hey, are you happy with your bookkeeper? No, not really. You want to switch to ours? Or you have people that are wasting their time, like the guy that you talked about that was spending his time on Sundays. That wound up being my story. So when we first opened our franchise business in California, I was spending hours doing our own profit and loss statements. I had no idea. Once I wind up outsourcing it, I think I was paying like $150, $200 a month per store is what I was paying for bookkeeping. And it was like, I was spending hours doing this by myself. Like, it was the biggest waste of my time, and they did it better. And so, like, for me, this is an area where others might not think it's sexy, but given that I've been on that side of the equation and I know how much of a challenge that it was for me, like I just know how much of a solution it is. And so it's less about like, hey, I'm trying to sell someone, and more so about like, hey, you have this challenge and let's solve it. And then I think for me, what I like about the business, what I think is the most attractive, is that it's recurring revenue. So like once you get a client, if you keep them happy, it like you keep collecting. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of what that looks like, and like kind of the lifetime value of or potential lifetime value of bringing in like a client or a customer?
Well, the potential value is that in our model, we average that client stays at least for 3 years, but that's done for the budgeting purposes. I mean, we have clients on the corporate side that have been with us for 8 or 9 years, and they're still happy and they grow. We are growing with them. There are opportunities for the clients to move on, and we totally fine with that because, for example, they become way bigger and they need an internal controller, they need a CFO. That's the services that we do not provide, but we can definitely help them to move to another area. We had clients who actually needed a CFO, so they hired one, but they still keep bookkeeping to do their monthly and weekly bookkeeping. So also what I like about this business model is that you don't have a lot of accounts receivable. You don't need to do a lot of collections because people pay monthly fixed fee for their services. So they pay, they get their service done. It's huge. When we started the business with the little baby who was just born and another business to run, we didn't have a lot of money to put into the business. So the fact that we didn't have any accounts receivable helped us to grow the business from zero to about, I want to say, $200,000 a year in the first 2 years, just financed by the existing clients, which was, priceless. See, now our franchisee actually done it in 11 months, which is, great. So good for her.
And you're talking about like there's not really much overhead in the business too. Like what the biggest expense is labor, right? Like, I mean, outside of that, it's like,
the biggest expense is labor. And actually, when we were talking about the advantages of bookkeeping, because when going back and forth, one of the things that we do, we can provide the staff to do the work. We can provide accountants who have accounting degrees to actually do the work for fixed hourly rate. We pay their benefits. We provide the office. We provide all the equipment, all the licenses they need to have. You just need to go and get the client. So if you don't want to do bookkeeping and you own a bookkeeping business, you don't have to do it yourself. You don't have to use our employees. You can go ahead and hire on your own or do the work yourself. But I'll be the one preaching you that your value as the business owner is in selling and business development. That's what brings the money. It's not you doing the bookkeeping. If you're looking for a bookkeeping job, go get one. It's a hot market right now. Everybody needs an accountant. Don't pay the fees to us. I don't want your money. I don't want your royalties. I want you to go and be successful, and you can build a career out of it. But if you want to actually grow and have a business that eventually you can give to your kids, or you can sell, or you can grow, or do whatever you want to do with it, or buy another territory and grow it, into a different state, then definitely, look into franchise opportunities.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really interesting that you guys will provide the staff that are trained accountants, because right now with everything that's going on in the economy and, quiet quitting and all these different things, everyone's concerned about how do I find labor and people to work. And I actually sent out an email to my email list to all the folks that are kind of labeled themselves as they are existing franchisees. They have a business. And I just sent out an email just because I was curious, just saying, hey, like what franchise do you own and what's your biggest challenge right now? And everyone who replied said, my biggest challenge is finding employees. And so, I think that's a really unique competitive advantage to say, okay, hey, great. All you got to do is go out there and, network and figure out a way to bring in clients, which will teach you some of those systems anyways. I think that's a really, really, really kind of unique advantage, right? Like, and then, so you mentioned that, and I knew a little bit about this, but I'd love to kind of dive in more, is that you guys have some sort of agreements with franchisors. So how does that work?
So we call that enterprise clients. In a nutshell, let's say it's Signarama, a new Signarama store that opens somewhere in Dallas, Texas, where we have a franchisee. By the way, we don't have anybody in Dallas, so if you're listening from Dallas, the area is open. But let's say it's Dallas, and they have a franchisee there, and a new Signarama is opening up in Dallas area. we know about it before they even break ground on their construction because we get an email from the franchisors because we are a strategic business partner and preferred bookkeeping vendor for all the United Franchise Group brands.
Wow.
It's about 11 brands. So yeah, we know this going in as soon as they sign the franchise agreement. So we give it to our franchisee in Dallas, and he or she can reach out and say, hey, I'm a preferred vendor, I'm a strategic partner, we can do your bookkeeping for X. We already have a chart of accounts, we already have how to do it. So he or she just goes in and becomes a local provider of services, and we give them 24 hours to say, yes, I want this business, or no, I don't want this business. And if they don't want, that's fine. Corporates will gladly take them because obviously when we were pricing it, we knew that we're pricing it to make money, but also to provide a value to a franchisee. And we have about 65 franchise systems right now that we are a preferred bookkeeping vendor for.
Wow.
So for some of them, we are not exclusive. For some, we are. Some makes us mandatory, especially the emerging ones, for all their new franchisees, and they're growing. And some just give an option to their franchisee to get it done. We also became a solution partner for Intuit, so we can now offer QuickBooks to all the franchises at a significant discount. So a lot of franchisors actually take this advantage for us to offer setup of QuickBooks and subscription to their franchisees, and they don't even have to use bookkeeping. So that's something that we're passing on to our local franchisees, so we give them a list of these brands, and they can go in the local area and approach these businesses. And as you said earlier, somebody might have a bookkeeper, but they want to make a change. But in a lot of cases, it's not even the business owners doing it. It's their wives, kids, grandparents, you name it. I've seen it all, that people just, don't know what to do with it. And like, hey, can you do it for me? Here it is. Just yesterday, we got a franchise, a new client on a corporate level. They've been in business for 3 years, and the wife was doing all the work herself, and she doesn't want to do it because she has another job. But the husband bought the business, and he just needed help. And she's like, well, I had to do it. And then we were so busy, and I'm always behind, and I have kids, and I have job, and we have this business. And now, because we are preferred vendor for this particular franchise, they found us. But they not just only want us to do their monthly bookkeeping, they want us to pay their bills. So they're giving us the entire, accounting function, because still, even after all the fees, it'll save them a lot of time and a lot of money, because there is a big term in finance, and a lot of people don't realize, it's called opportunity cost. If it takes you 3 hours to do bookkeeping, can you figure it out? Absolutely. Even if you're not an accountant. But what can you do with these 3 hours? We're buying people their time back. We're giving them free time. So you can call in 3 hours, 20 potential clients, get one sale, and that will pay 10x for what we charge. Or you can spend 3 times with your kids, take them to the park. This is something that you cannot bring back.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that was one of my, looking back, and hindsight being 2020, was all those hours that I had invested that first, year and a half of doing profit and loss statements. That was literally my story. The guy, that not the story you told, but I was doing the same thing, spending weekends, Sundays, adding up receipts and going through a point of sale system. And it felt really heavy. It made entrepreneurship not feel fun because I was doing something that I didn't really enjoy, that wasn't within, kind of my skill set as well. So yeah, you really are buying people back their time and the ability to invest their time in a higher leverage things in their business. Cool. And then I think the last thing that I'd love to really touch is around how does the territories work? Because it's kind of a unique model, and this is something where the interesting thing about franchising is you might hear about an opportunity, but a lot of times people wind up hearing about it before it, after the franchise already blew up, and then all of a sudden territories are sold out, and they're kind of bummed out because they're in love with the brand, but someone already came in and bought in their territory. So, you guys are so emerging and so poised to grow. I think this is a unique time period for people to come in and be able to capture great markets that, wouldn't have existed otherwise.
So we do guarantee a territory of 500,000 people, but what that means, mentioning our Orlando franchisee who was your client and who is your friend, so she bought Bookkeeping Orlando, and nobody else can buy Bookkeeping Orlando. However, if she has family, which she does, in other parts of the United States, and we discussed that, and they send the referrals to her and they send the clients, she's welcome to take it. Because even though she has a name and she's actively marketing in Orlando area, she can get clients from anywhere in the United States, even if there is a franchisee. She doesn't have to share with anybody. She just goes where the business is. And speaking of marketing, again, one of the advantages, and I know we've been going back and forth, but that's very important. We take upon us to do the entire marketing suite for our franchisees. So we provide the SEO, we provide all the weekly blogs, all the social media, and local area advertising. So all of that is actually offered to the franchisees. They just have to go and do networking. We're not going to be providing 100% of the clientele. It's physically impossible, but at least, people know about them. Just this past week, we got a call from Orlando area who found us through our SEO, and this lead immediately went to our Orlando franchisee, and this person wants to outsource the entire accounting function for his, I think, 30 or 40 employee company. Again, so it's because we were heavily advertising and doing the SEO. He found us and he said, I want somebody local. And we said, even if you wouldn't want somebody local, your lead would go to the Orlando franchisee. And we do that for all the markets where we have or planning to have franchisees. So that's super important. That's another thing that Bookkeeping is doing. It's not just the back support and ongoing sales training for 6 months after the initial one, but it's also the marketing and the sales support, which is huge.
Wow, that's a really cool story. I bet she was excited, huh?
Yeah, she sure was, and it was actually made me very happy because that made me believe that the system works. Because when I get something like that, and we want to talk now, and let's talk. I talked to this person on Sunday, which I usually don't, but they called my cell phone, which was on the website, and they just, hey, we really need somebody right now. I'm like, well, I'm sure my franchisee not going to call you on the weekend because I encourage people to have life and not just work 24/7. But unfortunately, I'm not following what I'm preaching. So I guess I need to find somebody to upload my function so I can do that as well.
That's funny. I know very well what you're talking about. Cool, man. Well, I think that's a great place to kind of recap. Is there anything that I missed that you wanted to mention? And then where can people find you guys and learn more about the opportunity?
So what I wanted to mention that we give our clients freedom back, freedom of time, but we also give our franchisees freedom. And that's freedom of use different softwares. Some of our competition, they only make their franchisees use one software, whether it's QuickBooks or it's Xero or it's something else. We actually tell our franchisees, go with what your client wants. You don't have to offer 10 different softwares. But if you want restaurants to become your vertical, there are some softwares that only work for the restaurants accounting. I'll be more than happy if you only use this software and never have a QuickBooks subscription. Or if you want to be just one, that's fine as well. But we give you freedom. So you don't come into a potential client and say, no, if you want to work with us, you have to switch to this software or that software. It works for some industry. It doesn't work for me. I want people to be free to make choices.
Yeah, I love that.
And you can find us, funny enough, online. It's bookkeepingfranchise.com, and the phone number is 855-935-2669. Feel free to find me on Google and we'll have a conversation. And what I tell our franchisees, especially because you're right, we are an emerging brand. And right now, my franchisees get access not only to myself, but to the entire bookkeeping team. I don't want to say 24/7, but pretty much feels like it because they can text us at any time. And yes, we do have families, and yes, we want to sleep sometimes, but we'll get to them right away. I can't promise that we'll be that fast when we have 20 franchisees. So the advantage of coming in early, they have access to us. As brand becomes bigger, ask any brand, and you've been franchising, so you know how it works. They get support team and then support of support team and so on and so forth. Right now, it's me, it's my team. So you have questions, you go directly to me. So Joanna has, is texting me, or my California franchisee, Sophia, she's texting me, and then I'll call them back in the next hour most of the time. So we talk right away. If they have a client, they don't know how much, what they should be pricing it, on how to do it, they either text me or they text the operations team, and they get back to them right away. So that's the advantage of coming in early. And then we don't know what we don't know. So we want to grow with our franchisees. So maybe one of them will have an idea of the directions that we're not looking at. So this year, we added payroll to our suite of services. Nice. So now we have a white label solution, it's bookkeeping payroll. We are thinking about adding merchant services, and I'm sure there'll be other ones that will be suggested by our franchisees.
That's awesome, man. Cool. Well, Max, thanks for coming on, and it was truly an exciting conversation for me. I do like the bookkeeping business, and we will make sure to drop all the links in the comments in the description. And best of luck with everything and growing bookkeeping.